In the glittering, high-stakes ecosystem of global celebrity culture, few things captivate the public imagination quite like the inner workings of elite friendships. We look at the red carpets, the polished social media feeds, and the heavily guarded VIP sections, believing we are witnessing a world of unbreakable bonds and mutual protection. For years, the entertainment industry has thrived on the narrative of the glamorous, impenetrable inner circle, a sanctuary where the rich and famous can escape the relentless glare of the paparazzi and find true solidarity among peers who understand the unique pressures of astronomical success. When two of the most recognizable cultural icons of a generation align, forming an alliance that dominates headlines and sets fashion trends, the world watches with a mixture of awe and envy. They become the blueprint for modern loyalty, a testament to the idea that even at the absolute peak of Hollywood and the music industry, genuine sisterhood can flourish. Millions of fans invest emotionally in these high-profile dynamics, analyzing every shared glance, every coordinated outfit, and every public display of support as if they were watching a real-life fairy tale unfold. Yet beneath the meticulously curated exterior of these ultra-famous pairings lies a fragile ecosystem governed by public relations strategies, intense media scrutiny, and the crushing weight of public expectation. The line between a deeply personal connection and a highly visible brand partnership often becomes dangerously blurred. In this world, a single misstep, an unscripted moment, or a sudden legal complication can send shockwaves through the most foundational relationships, threatening to demolish what took over a decade to build. It raises the ultimate question of whether true intimacy can truly survive when it is constantly subjected to the distorting lens of global fame, or if every Hollywood bond is destined to eventually fracture under the immense pressure of the spotlight. To understand the magnitude of what happens when these colossal social alliances begin to strain, one must first look at the sheer cultural weight of the figures involved. Imagine an alliance so profound that it defines the social landscape of New York City, where the mere sight of two iconic women walking hand-in-hand down a cobblestone street in Manhattan is enough to stop traffic and send internet servers into a frenzy. For more than 10 years, this specific bond stood as an unassailable fortress of modern glamorous friendship. It was a relationship built not just on shared career heights, but on deep foundational life milestones. We saw them celebrating birthdays together, sharing the stage at massive stadium concerts, and leaning on one another through the chaotic waters of high-profile romances and family expansion. One was the cinematic darling, a paradigm of effortless elegance and television royalty, while the other was a songwriting phenomenon whose cultural influence has reached an unprecedented historic peak. Their lives were so deeply intertwined that the pop icon was even named the godmother to the actress's beloved children, cementing a bond that transcended the superficial boundaries of showbiz and entered the realm of lifelong family. When the public looked at them, they saw the ultimate manifestation of female solidarity, two women who had conquered their respective industries while remaining completely fiercely loyal to one another. Now, as the entertainment world prepares for what is already being hailed as the most exclusive star-studded wedding of the decade, the anticipation surrounding the guest list has reached a fever pitch. Stars and power players across the globe are quietly praying for an invitation to this monumental celebration, making it the definitive social event of the era. Yet, against the backdrop of this impending celebration, a shadow of uncertainty hangs over the guest list, tracing back to a quiet, devastating fracture that occurred behind closed doors, leaving the world to wonder if the most iconic seat at the table will remain empty. As we begin to peel back the layers of this fascinating narrative, exploring how an unimpeachable sisterhood could suddenly find itself on the brink of total collapse, we invite you to stay deeply connected with us for every update on this unfolding Hollywood drama. If you want to ensure you never miss a single detail, insight, or breaking development from the inner circles of the world's biggest stars, please take a brief moment right now to hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications, and join our growing community of passionate entertainment enthusiasts. Your support allows us to continue diving deep beneath the headlines to bring you the real, unvarnished stories behind the velvet rope. It is precisely within those hidden, unvarnished spaces that the true nature of celebrity friendships is revealed, showing us that even the most golden alliances are vulnerable to sudden, catastrophic shifts. The public often forgets that behind the flawless makeup, the custom designer gowns, and the carefully scripted public statements are real people navigating complex emotional landscapes. When a relationship is built in the public eye, its dissolution rarely happens in private. Instead, it becomes a spectator sport, analyzed by millions of onlookers who dissect every subtle change in behavior. For months, sharp-eyed observers noticed a sudden, chilling silence where there used to be vibrant public celebration. The frequent, coordinated girls' nights out abruptly ceased, the public declarations of love vanished from the airwaves, and a strange, palpable distance emerged between two women who were once considered entirely inseparable. The global audience was left to wonder what could possibly possess the power to drive a wedge between two individuals who had survived the turbulent waters of fame together for over a decade, proving that no bond, no matter how historic or deeply rooted, is entirely immune to the unpredictable forces of Hollywood drama. The origins of this dramatic estrangement point toward a complicated web of external pressures, where personal loyalty was forced to collide head-on with corporate interests and legal jeopardy. In the upper echelons of fame, a scandal involving one individual rarely stays contained. Its ripples tend to expand outward, threatening to pull in anyone standing too close. When a bitter, highly publicized professional conflict began to unravel for the celebrated actress, few could have predicted that its legal fallout would stretch far enough to ensnare her closest confidant, the world's most powerful pop star. Suddenly, a deeply private relationship was thrust into the cold, unforgiving light of judicial proceedings, creating a situation where private communications were no longer safe from public scrutiny. For a musical powerhouse who has spent years meticulously guarding her hard-won reputation and maintaining absolute control over her narrative, being unexpectedly dragged into a messy, external legal dispute represents the ultimate public relations nightmare. The sudden exposure of private thoughts and intimate exchanges created an immediate, palpable tension, forcing a reassessment of trust that had taken a decade to build. As the cameras stopped capturing them together and the public silence grew louder, rumors began to swirl that this legendary friendship had reached a definitive, tragic end. The narrative shifted from one of absolute solidarity to a cautionary tale about the perils of mixing deep personal bonds with the chaotic, litigious world of major entertainment projects. It left the world watching on the edge of their seats, wondering if the damage was truly irreparable, or if the deep-seated history between these two icons could somehow weather the storm and find a path toward healing just in time for the most anticipated wedding in modern pop culture history. The quiet unraveling of this legendary Hollywood alliance did not begin under the flashing lights of a red carpet, but within the sterile, high-stakes environment of a courtroom, where a bitter professional feud between Blake Lively and her former co-star and director Justin Baldoni took a devastatingly personal turn. What started as a standard Hollywood creative clash over the direction and editing of their massive film project quickly escalated into an all-out legal war, characterized by explosive allegations of sexual harassment and defamatory counterclaims that sent shockwaves through the entertainment ecosystem. As the legal machinations intensified, the boundary between professional grievance and personal life completely dissolved, dragging Taylor Swift directly into the crossfire of a public dispute she had actively sought to avoid. The pop icon, celebrated worldwide for her unparalleled songwriting and masterful control over her public image, suddenly found her name printed on official court documents, transforming her from a supportive bystander into a potential star witness. The true catalyst for the sudden freezing rift between the lifelong best friends was the unsealing of private text messages that the two women had exchanged throughout the height of the film set tension. For a star of Swift's astronomical magnitude, whose multi-billion-dollar brand is fiercely protected by a small army of public relations experts and legal advisors, the public exposure of her raw, unfiltered text messages represented an unprecedented breach of privacy and a direct threat to her meticulously guarded reputation. The leaked communications revealed a deeply fascinating, surprisingly complex look behind the scenes, exposing a reality that was vastly different from the flawless, united front the pair had presented to the public for over a decade. The Unsealed records confirmed that the two longtime friends had engaged in raw, uncomfortable conversations regarding a negative shift in their relationship, driven entirely by the mounting stress of the ongoing legal battle. In these private exchanges, the carefully polished veneer of celebrity sisterhood dropped away, revealing that Swift had directly confronted the mother of four about the deteriorating quality of their communication. In a moment of striking candor that stunned fans when it was finally made public, Swift expressed her deep discomfort, writing that while she understood the kind intent behind Lively's messages, the actress's recent texts felt unnaturally stiff and calculated, comparing them to reading a mass corporate email sent out to hundreds of employees. This critique cut straight to the core of their bond, suggesting that the authentic, effortless connection they had shared since their 20s had been replaced by a guarded, defensive tone born out of legal panic and public relations anxiety. The text messages also contained highly unflattering remarks about Baldoni, with Lively venting about her director, calling him a doofus, while Swift, operating under the assumption of absolute privacy, fiercely pledged her loyalty by stating she would do absolutely anything to support her friend. When those words were laid bare for judges, lawyers, and eventually the global public to read, the fallout was immediate, causing an instant defensive retreat by Swift's team and a sudden, chilling cessation of their public friendship. To fully understand the gravity of this fracture, one must look at the immense pressure Swift faced to protect her global cultural empire during a time when her public standing had reached an all-time historic peak. As her massive international concert tour shattered every historical record and her upcoming wedding to NFL superstar Travis Kelce became the definitive focal point of global pop culture, Swift simply could not afford to be dragged down by an external, highly toxic Hollywood scandal. Her subsequent decision to completely distance herself from Lively, to stop appearing with her in public, and to withhold any public statements of support was seen by industry insiders as a necessary, cold-blooded branding calculation. For months, the once inseparable duo existed in a state of total radio silence, leading the entire world to believe that their historic friendship was permanently ruined, a casualty of the harsh reality that in the upper echelons of modern fame, protecting the brand will always take precedence over personal loyalty. Yet, behind this wall of silence, the complicated gears of reconciliation were quietly turning. As the legal storm finally began to recede, with both Baldoni's defamation suit and Lively's harassment claims ultimately being dismissed by the courts, the primary source of tension evaporated. Leaving both women to survey the wreckage of their bond, the path back toward trust has been a slow, delicate process characterized by quiet phone calls, tentative conversations, and a mutual desire to heal a relationship that both women deeply missed. Insiders close to the situation have revealed that while Swift was initially furious about being dragged into the dramatic legal proceedings, her attitude began to soften significantly as the case drew to a permanent close. Lively, acutely aware of how much she had lost both personally and reputationally during the grueling public showdown, has reportedly dedicated herself entirely to resuscitating her friendship with the pop star, genuinely believing that a path toward true reconciliation exists now that the legal chaos is over. These loose conversations have served as a way to test the waters, allowing them to slowly rebuild the foundation of trust that was so violently shaken by the court disclosures. According to close sources, the pop star is experiencing a genuine change of heart, slowly allowing the Gossip Girl actress back into her inner circle, a shift that has sent ripples of anticipation through their mutual friend groups as the date of the historic wedding draws near. However, this highly anticipated reunion is further complicated by a secondary, underlying layer of social friction that exposes the intense competition for influence within the absolute highest tier of Hollywood society. The narrative of reconciliation is heavily intertwined with the story of another former member of the inner circle, Keely Teller, the wife of actor Miles Teller. At one point, Swift and Keely were utterly inseparable, a bond cemented in the public eye when Keely gifted the singer an extraordinary massive opal ring for her 34th birthday. A gesture that seemed to permanently solidify her position at the absolute right hand of the pop icon. Yet as Lively's legal troubles grew, so too did a bitter internal rivalry. Insiders claim that Lively had allegedly become intensely envious of Keely, feeling deeply threatened by the growing closeness between Keely and Swift. This social anxiety reportedly led Lively to actively try to dismantle that friendship in a desperate bid to maintain her status as Swift's undisputed #1 confidant. Now, as the wedding guest list is finalized, the social dynamics have shifted dramatically once again, with Keely expected to be absent from the festivities, while Lively appears to have successfully navigated her way back into the fold, showcasing the ruthless, ever-changing nature of elite social hierarchies where one star's downfall frequently paves the way for another's dramatic redemption. The culmination of this long, winding journey of betrayal, legal jeopardy, and tentative healing is now set to unfold on the grandest possible stage, transforming a deeply personal reconciliation into the definitive pop culture event of the era. For any global celebrity, a wedding is never just a private exchange of vows. It is a monumental declaration of social standing, a curated manifestation of influence, and an intentional statement about who belongs in the inner sanctum of power. As the highly anticipated nuptials between Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce draw closer, the world is watching with bated breath, tracking every whisper regarding the legendary guest list. The scale of the event itself speaks to the unprecedented cultural footprint of the couple, with rumors circulating throughout the entertainment industry that the pair plan to say their vows in an intimate, private ceremony surrounded only by their absolute closest family and trusted friends, before transitioning to a massive, spectacular event at New York City's iconic 20,000-seat Madison Square Garden arena. Within this coliseum of modern entertainment, the absolute highest echelons of music, sports, and cinema will converge, creating a gathering of star power that has not been witnessed in decades. Yet, for all the spectacle of stadium-sized celebrations and high-profile performances, the true drama lies in the quiet human dynamics of the VIP seating arrangements, where the presence or absence of a single individual can tell a story louder than any headline. For Blake Lively, securing her place at this historic gathering represents far more than just attending the wedding of a dear friend. It is an absolute necessity for the survival of her public image and the ultimate validation of her hard-fought social redemption. The Gossip Girl actress has notably struggled to maintain her squeaky clean, effortless reputation throughout the grueling, lengthy showdown with Justin Baldoni, a conflict that threatened to permanently alter how the public perceives her. In the court of public opinion, a celebrity's standing is largely determined by the company they keep, and being visibly excluded from the most exclusive wedding of the decade would have signaled a definitive, catastrophic exile from the absolute center of Hollywood influence. Sources close to the actress have openly acknowledged that Lively is intensely focused on the optics of her attendance, explaining that she absolutely does not want to be seen as missing the wedding because her public image remains incredibly important to her. This awareness has driven her relentless efforts to mend the fracture with Swift, transforming a period of painful estrangement into a structured, deliberate campaign to regain the pop icon's trust before the July 3rd ceremony arrives. So profound is Lively's optimism regarding the success of these delicate negotiations that celebrity insiders have disclosed, she already has her custom dress picked out and meticulously prepared for the impending nuptials. Standing ready to step back into the spotlight the very moment the gates to the inner circle swing open, this impending return to the fold represents a remarkable testament to the enduring power of a decade-long history, proving that even in a world governed by strict public relations branding and corporate caution, genuine personal bonds can occasionally triumph over the cold calculations of crisis management. Despite the tumultuous nature of their relationship in recent years, and the intense strain of having their private communications exposed to a judgmental global audience, insiders close to both women emphasize that the two icons never fully stopped being friends, the foundational roots of their sisterhood, built on years of shared secrets, mutual protection, and the unique, isolating experience of existing at the absolute peak of global fame, formed an unbreakable core that legal battles and public scandals could not entirely dissolve. Swift's willingness to extend a second chance to engage in those loose conversations to test the waters, and to ultimately welcome her longtime confidant back into her life, demonstrates a profound maturity and a recognition that true loyalty is a rare, priceless commodity in an industry often defined by superficial fair-weather alliances. The people closest to the pop star are fully aware that Lively is poised to attend the historic celebration, affirming that while her presence is not an absolute certainty, any decision to stay home will rest entirely with Lively herself, as she is once again fully and warmly welcome in Swift's world. As the final pieces of this intricate social puzzle fall into place, the starkly contrasting destinies of the individuals involved underscore the ruthless, constantly evolving nature of elite celebrity circles. While Lively stands triumphantly on the cusp of total social redemption, successfully navigating her way back from the brink of a career-threatening scandal, other former mainstays of the famous girl squad find themselves left out in the cold. The expected absence of Keely Teller from the star-studded guest list serves as a stark, powerful reminder that in the high-stakes game of Hollywood influence, Positions of favor are incredibly fragile and easily lost. The behind-the-scenes efforts by mutual friends to actively mediate conflicts and mend various rifts ahead of the wedding have yielded mixed results, demonstrating that some allegations and social rivalries cut too deep to be healed by the looming deadline of a wedding calendar. Instead, the final guest list reflects a carefully rebalanced ecosystem of power and trust, anchored by unwavering pillars of support like global music icon Selena Gomez, acclaimed stylist Ashley Avallone, and Travis Kelce's celebrated Kansas City Chiefs teammate Patrick Mahomes alongside his wife Brittany. Within this elite gathering, the restored alliance between the world's most powerful songwriter and her cinematic best friend will stand as the ultimate symbol of resilience, sending a clear, unmistakable message to the world that their bond has survived the ultimate test. When the doors of Madison Square Garden finally open and the music begins to play, the narrative of a broken friendship will be officially rewritten, replaced by a triumphant image of solidarity that will define the cultural landscape for years to come, proving that even the most devastating Hollywood